Welcome to the Ranchonomics Podcast, where we empower you to build a better ranch and transform your operations into a thriving business. I'm your host, John Haskell. Let's get started. Hello and welcome to the Ranchonomics Podcast. I'm John Haskell, and I am here today with Marlene Moore from Wallace, Nebraska. And we are going to talk today about applying the principles of sell-by in a seasonal operation. So, Marlene, I'm going to ask you to describe what you do. One of the comments that I often get from people is, if I'm going to do what Bud Williams and Doug Ferguson and Wally Olson teach us to do, I don't want to go to the sale barn all the time. I don't necessarily even want to run stockers. And I have a seasonal operation. I can't do this year round. I would like you to talk about what you do, because I think there in Southwest Nebraska, you have a nice mix of markets and climate and opportunity. And you've been doing this a long time. And I want you to describe what you do. But first, I want you to describe just a little, when did you meet Bud Williams and how'd you get started in this whole deal?
I met Bud Williams in 1993 at the Lassiter Ranch. Stan Parsons got us all together there, and it really virtually changed my life completely. Some good, some bad.
You and Bud used to always have rousing discussions that were wonderful arguments that were always educational for me as somebody who got to listen in.
Yeah, and Eunice would have to scutter him off to the room or at any school if that I was there. He would get done with his day, and then Eunice would call me and say, okay, Bud's ready. And I'd show up with my tape recorder and my legal notebook pad and go through every question. And Bud would not answer any of them. Yeah. He had an answer for everything. And it wasn't always just cattle, talk about death and lots of different things, subjects like that.
Cool. Marlene, you have a habit that I have really enjoyed, which you are obviously very interested in continuing education. You record every meeting you go to, right? Like you record a tremendous number of discussions. I don't know how you do it now. You used to have a little tape recorder that you carried with
phone.
Yeah, so you've upgraded to digital, and you take copious notes, which is fascinating to me. And you go back and review those notes and listen to the recordings, right?
I do. I started doing that when I inherited the ranch, or the management of it.
Which was when?
Which was October of 1980.
So you have, at this point, 40 plus years of notes and recordings.
And that would be the first, I'd grab those boxes first thing.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, let's talk about your operation. Would you describe what you do? Because I think what you do fits with a lot of our people we talk to in North America, particularly in the northern part of North America. So if you'd describe, that'd be great.
Yeah, I started out cow-calf because cows were on the ranch and did that for 25 years. But I could never, using ranching for profit principles, never get the cow to pay for the grass rent in Nebraska. It's as high as any around.
What is it now in your area? You're not the highest part of Nebraska, but still quite high, right?
We're getting to the highest.
Okay. But you're over $3 a day for a cow-calf there.
Yeah,
right?
$2.10 to $3.
Okay.
And for a yearling is not a yearling is not a yearling.
Correct.
So I have a formula for that.
Yeah. Okay.
And based off a 6-weight calf. Anyway, so just got tired of the cow-calf and worked with Bud long enough to start doing the marketing. And I had all the questions that all the people ask you and me and everybody else, but I had to adapt it to myself and our situation. And what I always try to tell people is, first, assess your assets. We aren't doing know and understand yourself first here, which in my opinion is a mistake.
Yeah.
But that's okay. We're getting there. Knowing and understanding myself and the assets, I had Dwight, a large animal vet, my husband, and I knew what he could do. And I loved the sale barn.
He could fix all the problems you brought home.
Yes,
right?
And I know what he can do.
Right.
And so when I started the sell by, I started with the mindset of what can I buy to add value to? Not just a level up or something, but add value to. Number two, I didn't want to put a lot of capital into them. If I buy number twos compared to number ones, my capital expenditure is at least 40%. So those were the two huge drivers.
Okay, can I interrupt you for just a second? Let's describe what a number two is, because another misconception is that a number 2 is a junk calf. And that is not what you're describing, right?
You're right.
You live in Nebraska where the definitions around the country of a number 1 and number 2 are a little different, right?
Nebraska is known for its number 1 sorted Angus. But in this vernacular, what I'm talking about is, for instance, a nipped ear or a lump or unweaned or unvaccinated or a bad eye or colored.
When you say colored in Nebraska, do you mean red or do you mean stripes?
It can be red. It can be Simmental crosses with, and
spots.
There's a couple of big ranches close to me that run Tarrantay, and we get some brindle there.
Mm-hmm.
But they're Tarrantay. Those are the off-color.
But not Longhorn Coriani types.
No, I get a few crosses of those, but not much.
Okay.
No, that's not what I mean. So then I start buying in November because I'm a C Corp and our fiscal year end is September 30. I can't get Dwight off the place if I don't sell all the cattle. And it works beautifully. And so when I started doing that, we started being able to do those projects you've been going to do for 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. It's just amazing. And you get rejuved and you get ready to go and you get all prepared. When you're a continuum all the time, it can wear you down.
On you. Yep, that's right.
And because there's just the two of us. So that's basically how I developed what I do. Yep. So for the virgin buy.
So virgin buy meaning the first transaction. So you have totally destocked. Then there's a period of rest. It's 30 to 60 days.
That's right.
And then now we start back in. And that first buy, Bud used to call a virgin buy.
Yes. So I go to the Nebraska weighted average and I pick out steer and heifer. The best buy, I use the Tina Williams has built the little price comparison. And so I can just plug into that.
Yeah.
And so I do the best buy in steer and heifer.
The most underpriced? Is that what the best buy means?
Yes, because almost always they're all overvalued in Nebraska, according to Tina's formula there, which I'm not so worried about that. I just want to get in there and get the best. I'm very picky with my sale barn ticket. I do a lot of work with that because I'm building a ticket that goes from 250 to 700 or 750 at 25-pound increments, steer and heifer. Mm-hmm. Because what I buy comes in the barn and I've got 30 seconds.
And you probably need to spend that 30 seconds looking at the
animal.
Not
that's right.
Sticking around with your calculator.
Yeah. Okay. And you also have to, you pay your dues building a rapport with the barn and them letting you in. And in Nebraska, we have numbers. We have our own buyer number. Yeah. You know, and the barn will give you those. They're permanent. Yep. My number goes with me at all the barns. Oh, perfect. Which is really
the same number everywhere. Oh,
yeah,
jealous. Okay.
Yeah, I paid a lot of dues, but they rewarded me that way.
That's awesome.
Anyway, so then I start buying and into the accumulation phase. Okay. I am in the business of adding value to animals, and I am in the business of making load lots. So that's basically what I do. So I will, for some reason, I'm able to get a lot of steers in the fall, and I'll sell steers, 3 to 4 loads of steers in February. Mm-hmm. I try to not carry them any farther over. I start selling the big ones. Yeah. And the reason for that is, I don't know if you want this information, but any information is good. I used to go to Bud and Eunice, and I'd say, oh, those damn steers, this and that, and they're riding and buying ones and a lot of bulls. Yeah. Dwight does surgery. He can do the testicle surgery on bulls and stuff like that. And Eunice said, my gosh, Marlene, it's the day late. Their testosterone is coming on. Yeah. Get rid of them. Don't keep them longer.
Yeah, literally more hours of sunshine.
Oh, my goodness.
Getting them in the mood.
And Bud said, Marlene, if you hate steers, don't run steers in the summertime. Don't run steers. So I don't. So, perfect. Yeah.
So you buy them in the fall, but then those you sell basically within 4 to 5 months. Is that fair?
Or 3 days.
Okay. Those may be short turns.
Yeah. So for instance, this year, when I saw the spread between small steers and small heifers at $69 a hundredweight, I had a partial load of steers. I was going to keep them in a separate pasture for the summer.
Yeah.
I said, holy smokes. I went to the barn and I filled that ticket and we shipped them in a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're very flexible on that front end.
Very flexible. But I do every single thing that's in the contract.
Yeah.
Even most of the cattle I buy have already had all their shots.
Correct.
We still give the vaccines because that's what our buyers want.
Yeah. And how do you sell? You buy through your
I sell on the video.
Yeah. And Superior or Western?
Superior.
Yeah.
I've been with them 27 years.
Yeah. Good. So you're doing a couple of things. You're improving the calves by castrating them and
Adding value.
whatever value you add to the individual calf. Plus, you're putting them into load lot groups.
Get your money on the sort.
Plus, you are moving to a different market from the sale barn to the video, right?
That's
And
correct.
often we see a roll up from the sale barn to
I almost always get a roll up in price.
yeah. Oh, and you're moving them from October, November, which is like the lowest time of the year, right? Forward to the new year, closer to grass fever.
Grass fever
Yeah.
time. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Right.
so that if you can roll up your price per pound, we aren't in the weight gaining business
Uh-huh.
in the wintertime.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I may sell some big heifers as well. If it's dry time, 6 weight heifers, bring them. They're undervalued. I don't care because I usually get them sold and make a very nice profit
Yeah.
on them. They will eat the most grass.
Yeah.
So I go to grass with a lot. I average $4.75 going to grass
Pounds.
pounds.
Yeah.
In April 10th.
Okay.
People don't do that. They absolutely.
Because they want it to be 600 pounds.
Yeah, and they want it easy.
Yeah.
Want what they can do.
One other thing there, your winter. So again, Southwest Nebraska.
Yeah.
So not the harshest winter in the world. You probably don't normally have snow cover long term, right?
Usually not long term.
But you get snow.
Oh boy.
Your ground will freeze, and you're not in the sand hills. You're on the hard ground south of the
Yeah.
sand hills.
Yeah, the calves in the winter are on sand.
Okay. But the grass quality is terrible. So I'm assuming
I'm on corn stalks,
okay, good.
on
And
pivots,
and do you supplement corn stalks with
Yes.
alfalfa or anything?
alfalfa, or distillers,
Okay, great.
dry distillers.
And so the corn stalks and the dry distillers allow you to winter fairly cheaply.
Yes,
But you're probably talking half a pound, enough to keep them alive and
0.7.
healthy. Okay, good.
0.7
Okay.
to the best I've done is 1.2.
Okay.
If there's a lot of corn, you really have to supplement that. Guys have tried putting cattle out with a lot of corn.
Yeah.
Halves.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Doesn't go well.
they don't weigh, they don't gain anything.
Right.
You have to supplement.
Yeah.
And we have some really good sources of feed. So if we had snow cover for 90 days, I've never had a snow
This year?
drought in my entire career. I've never had a snow drought.
Yeah.
90 days full feed everything.
But grass hay is available in your area.
When you crack that tube, you've got 30 days to
Yeah.
get. So we're flexible. We move. We don't just sit there.
Yeah.
We move.
Very good. We have talked about the sort of the first half of her year, the accumulation phase. And now I want to talk about the heifer program and how you go into grass season from there.
Need the cash flow. I will sell whatever load lots I've got. So when I go to grass, what is spun off is a weight class that I don't have a truckload, but there's quite a few of those.
Right.
So we'll go to grass with those, and sometimes we'll supplement if they're really small. Out on grass with
On grass during the growing season. Yeah.
dry distillers.
Yeah.
And so then we're intensive rotational grazing, so we're moving every day.
Mm-hmm.
And all they're getting at that time is just some sedges and some western wheatgrass.
Mm-hmm.
We have a magnificent grass source on our ranch. And I've been working at it since 87.
How long have you been rotationally grazing in one form or another?
Since 88. Started building in 87.
And do you think that has made a difference in your operation?
You think? Yeah. Mhm. Yeah. And we're in a phase now we're building some more. So, yeah. But then I will bring those cattle around and weigh. We have weighed already.
So you weigh April 10th-ish.
I weigh going to grass.
Yeah.
Then I weigh just before the February or the July
sale,
video.
right? Because you sell in the week in the Rockies in the summer.
I do.
Yep.
I do.
It's where we run into each other lately.
Yes. And
Good.
it's usually the best market for what I've got.
Yeah. And you do get a test weight beforehand. How much do you adjust your contract? So if you make a forecast based on your April weight and you reweigh
John,
them
I've
in
done
June,
this for so.
I know. So I'm curious if you actually use that summer weight.
Yes, I do.
You do.
Oh, yeah.
You ever adjust your number up?
If the cattle are really gaining, yeah, I will.
Okay.
I will bump it up.
Yeah.
But I'm making load lots.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I make big loads.
Yep.
My repeat buyers want big loads.
Yeah. So Nebraska, you're allowed 64,000 pounds on a truck, I think. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. I think Montana's still the biggest of the 68, but you guys are right there.
Yeah.
So do you contract them at 60 plus thousand
Oh,
pounds?
yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yes, I do.
And where do your calves usually go? They go to wheat in the South Plains?
No, they usually go the feedlot.
Okay. Direct to feed.
Mm-hmm.
And do they go Nebraska, Kansas?
Texas,
Panhandle.
Nebraska, Kansas, Iowa. Yeah, I've got repeat buyers all over. They're commercial cattle.
Yeah. Okay, good. So we get a test weight. You sell them in July. And then when do you deliver?
I deliver the first week of September and the third week of September.
Okay. And then you're cleared out again.
And then what's left goes to a sale barn.
Yep. Just out of curiosity, this is a little off topic. What percentage of your calves that you have in your possession in June do you contract?
97%.
You and Wally follow a similar program where they're
Yeah.
all contracted. And do you sell them generally as uneven loads? Or are you able to sort them enough to where you can get pretty even loads?
No, they're sold as uneven, but it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing how even they are.
Okay. If you're buying them as a 1 to 2 type calf,
Right.
are you selling them again as a 1 to 2, or are you selling them as a
I
number
sell
1?
them breed type.
Yep.
What they are, if they have nipped ears or a
Yep.
nipped tail or a spot in the eye, you put the exotics in there,
Yep.
whatever that might be. That's the information I get when I weigh.
Yep.
I'm real stringent about that because I don't want my superior rep walking in and going, "Oh my God,
Yeah.
this
This
What
is
is
not what you
this?
described. Yeah. Why am I going
No.
to do this?
And then you've got the video too.
Yeah.
So yeah,
And the video is helpful, but on the number of calves you've got, you're not videoing all of them. They're getting a sample.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
And my rep is real good about getting. There may be 1 or 2 Herefords, or there's some nipped ears, or you're missing a switch, or something like that. And he works really hard to get those in there so that
They're described.
They are what they're.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. So anything else you want to add on that? Because what I want to ask you next is, how does your approach to this, where again, you're basically dealing in a 1 year, 10-month cycle, let's call it.
Right.
How does what you do vary from a buy sell approach? How are you really applying the sell buy? Because I think what you do from the outside could look a lot like
A buy
a
sell.
buy sell. And I know that's not what you're doing.
I think the main difference, John, is the principle you're selling money to buy an animal, number 1. And number 2, I can sell them anytime
Mm-hmm.
that there's a profit.
Mm-hmm. Doesn't mean that you do, but you
Doesn't
can.
mean I do, but there's been years I'll sell the big cattle in July, right after the video.
Because of drought or market.
Oh, yeah.
All of the above. Okay.
Yes, mostly because there's not enough grass.
Yeah.
Yeah. How does that differ? Then the big thing is I put the profit in there, in my expenses.
In your expenses.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the big difference. And I would think Wally's is a little closer to the buy sell than mine because,
Oh, interesting.
so I eliminate or sell those steers. I buy heifers back on there.
Right.
And of course, then I plug in $150 profit.
Right.
Even
Make
though
it seem-
heifers have come
Yeah.
up because we're at grass time,
Right.
follow the principles as close as I can. I just had to develop this strategy just to get Dwight off the place. And as you get older and older, you need the rest. Stan Parsons always said, I can do a year's work in 10 months.
Yep.
I cannot do a year's work in 12 months. Boy, I could not understand what the heck he was talking about, but boy, do I know what that means now.
Okay, so let's talk about that, because I think one of the things I see with regenerative producers, people in this, what I think of as the holistic world, the RFP world, we are very careful with our grass a lot of the time. We're
I'm a
super
grass
careful.
person.
You are a grass person, and being a superb grass manager, right? You
Yep.
believe in rest, you believe in residual, all that.
Yeah.
most of the people I talk with get really good at that long before they get good at applying the same principles to the people and to their cash. So we operate with this great grass residual, but we have no money in the bank. The principles are the same, right?
The cash part, I work really hard with the bank.
Okay. Can you describe that a little when you say?
Yes.
Okay.
They have no idea what I'm describing to them. I build a worksheet. I tell them, I give them 5 years of data, grazing, how much head and the increase and the decrease because of dry and what I'm going to sell and what I'm going to buy. And it's all great. That's fine. But the reason it's all great is because I zero out every year.
Yeah. Do you do everything on the line of credit? You don't do term debt?
Yeah. And every year, Marlene, we can make this loan bigger. No, I don't want it any bigger. Or if I get to January and when prices are low, the cash you got in there is much smaller.
Mm-hmm.
So I know I've got a sale in January and I want to buy a load. I've got to be buying loads.
Yeah.
They'll pop the money in there just like that.
But
they would rather do that.
Yeah.
They'd like to get me up there.
Oh, yeah.
I owe $13.61 interest right now.
Not a very good customer.
No, but then let me tell you the other part of the money. We do these exercises that you put some profit aside.
Yeah.
We're a C Corp, so Dwight and I treat the Shamrock as a business, and we're Marlene and Dwight.
Yeah.
And so we take a salary, a wage, and
fully pay your labor.
Yes, and we have.
Do you take a distribution? Do you leave all that in the C Corp?
No, we don't. We take the wage.
Okay, just the
wage.
But
we can write off quite a bit of stuff.
Yeah.
The government wants us to raise cattle.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You wind up with wonderful tax advantages.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We have accumulated quite a bit of retirement. Here, interest started racing up. My investment people hated it, but I said, send me that money.
Yeah.
And so I've been loaning it to the ranch.
Right.
So our investments are working again.
Yeah. Excellent.
But we zero that out in the fall as well.
Okay. So you pay yourself back. You pay the bank back and you pay yourself back. Good.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay. So what got you to being as conservative with capital as you are? Is this something you learned by making a mistake? Is this the way you are naturally?
I am naturally.
Okay.
Yeah. I've been a saver all my life.
Excellent. Okay, good. That's interesting.
That's why the amount of capital invested is huge. It's something I don't want people to brush over.
Yep.
If I buy a number one, what can I do with a number one?
Yeah, just put pounds on.
Oh, they can die.
Yeah.
Put pounds on. And you may get a little bit of a premium for being number one.
Yep.
But I'm telling you, last year, my big loads coming when they wanted them outdid a lot of the home raised cattle that were small brood and almost as high as the program cattle. When you give the customer what they want, then there's your reward.
Right.
And we work really hard at that.
And this, I think, is another important thing that appears from sell-by marketing, or emerges, if you will, from a sell-by approach, is you are very clearly addressing a customer, right? The market is telling you what the customer wants by pricing.
Yeah.
You are buying what people don't want to buy, and you are selling
making
what people
them
want
into
to
what
buy.
people want to buy. Feedlots want straightened out cattle that have been handled well.
Mm-hmm.
We put in electric fence broke. We put in low stress stockmanship sometimes on those. That's one of the other things I buy is those cattle that crash that side and that side.
Which they don't like in Nebraska.
No.
Did you buy any cattle from the Eldred?
I did. Oh, a lot of them.
They would crash the edge of the sale.
Yeah.
Wouldn't they?
No problem.
Fantastic.
Dave Pratt came out and we went out in the pasture and the cow herd was there this many years ago. And we got out and started walking toward the cattle and they put their heads up but they didn't run. He said, that one there and that one there and that one there. They're your wild cattle. Where are your wild cattle? I said, that's them right there.
So the Eldred, for people that don't know, through the 90s and into the 2000s, all of their cattle work was done with a helicopter.
Yeah.
And those cattle have a bad reputation in sale barns throughout. Now, the Eldred is totally different now. It has a new owner, totally different program, great low-stress stockmanship, Ben Bailey and all that do that. Do a great job. But at that time,
I bought a lot of those as well.
Oh, yeah, sure. But at that era, there were sale barns that would not take them.
Yeah.
People got hurt. There were all kinds of
Yeah.
Interesting. No, that's fun.
I bought a set of cattle. John, this is interesting. Last fall, the sale barn called me up and said, we've got these cattle. They came from Colorado. They've never been touched.
No shots, no nothing.
No nothing.
Branding, no nothing.
Big old bulls, all kinds of stuff. In the sale barn, nobody would get in the pen with them.
Yeah.
And we had a young fellow working with us, and he was going to receive those cattle. And I called Dwight and I said, Dwight, you have got to get up there. I don't want Leo hurt. Dwight got up there, and all those cattle did was pushed him out of the way to get to the hay. But when we worked them, I run the bud box.
Yeah.
Not one took me. But when we got them in the chute, they screamed fear.
Yeah.
I said, what is going on? It was fear.
Yeah. They just never done it.
And those cattle settled right down.
Yeah.
So if you ask, what's the difference? It's Bud Williams marketing,
right?
Walmart marketing,
yep,
and stockmanship.
Yep. And then you add the grass management on top of it.
Yes. Yes.
You got many
so the cattle
going.
This year, from April 10th to June 18th, gained just under 2 pounds.
Yeah.
1.97.
Okay. Which is fantastic for Western Nebraska.
Yeah. So yes,
and it's native range and so.
All native range. Yeah. And all we do is salt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else you want to mention in that? Again, I think your operation is phenomenal. You've done this a long time, and you've perfected or continue to progress a whole number of things. We're at an educational event this week.
Yes.
And this is something you do every year.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to add before we wrap up?
I guess one of the things as you're growing, one of the biggest, best investments we made was a scale, portable scale. It's not as individual. It'll handle
like
20,000 pounds.
Like a Rice Lake type scale or?
Had a Norac. They were the first idea. Ones come out. Yep. And then I've upgraded to a Cardinal.
Okay. And so this is one you can put 10 head on at a time.
10, 15, just depend. But they'll hold 20.
And you can pull it behind a pickup.
And they're certified.
Yeah.
You sell off of them.
Yep.
You get a ticket.
Yeah.
The buyer gets a ticket.
Just out of curiosity, what did that scale cost when you bought it?
It's a $41,000 scale.
Ooh, wow. That was pre-pandemic or post?
This year.
Oh, you just bought that.
I got a little better deal than that.
Yeah.
That's what they cost.
Yeah.
But, John, I bought the Norac in 2009, 28. It isn't that much of an increase, but it paid for itself so many times. Not only on sale day, but in what I can do, keeping track of those cattle.
Yeah. Knowing what they're gaining.
Knowing actually what they gain. Yeah.
Very good.
And so when I sort on paper, I've always been one of those that sorts on paper. And then it may not be the same cattle.
Yeah.
But it's always on the contract. It says depend on the sort.
Yeah.
Because some cattle will do better than others, as you all know.
Yeah.
One thing I would add that's very unusual. I learned this from Bud. I can buy a fat heifer, lose 150 pounds.
Make her a green heifer.
And make 300 bucks on it.
And you and Kurt Epler are the only two people I know in this part of the world that apply that regularly.
The thing of it is, almost everybody sends them to a backgrounding lot.
Right.
You cannot put a short fat heifer
out on
there. Are
grass
people around that get small packages of cattle and just make them fatter and fatter, thinking that weight is what they get paid for.
Yeah.
So I don't care if they are mediums or medium light or whatever. I'm working hard to make what the customer wants.
Yep.
So most of them go to the feedlot and they want something that will gain. Also, they get an implant in April. By September, it's all gone.
They're ready to go.
That's another.
Yeah.
So just all those things, those zillion little things.
When you sell through Spear, do you sell on what program do you sell through? Do you use any of the programs? You sell
I have no program.
Okay. So no NHTC?
No.
No.
None of that. And not spay.
But you have given vaccinations. Do you select your vaccination for marketing or for disease?
Dwight.
Okay. So the vet is driving the vaccination.
Yeah. Yeah. And they all have 2 rounds and all that. A couple of things. We're intensive rotational grazing and our ranch is electrified.
Yeah.
We do not have a bull problem.
Yeah.
We are completely surrounded by cow-calf. Completely.
And the electric fence keeps them out.
Keeps them out.
I love it.
Number 2.
Single wire?
The perimeter's barb.
Okay. And then interior is all
single wire.
Yeah.
Yeah. Number 2, I do custom graze, take in cattle. That's my drought plan. But the only pour on, I'd just as soon not use anything.
Right.
The only pour on I will allow on the ranch is Sidectin. And I always tell my customers, don't cheat. It's blue. I can see it.
You can see it.
And I'll be looking.
Yeah, excellent.
It's supposed to not kill the dung beetles.
Correct. On 2 places, in one of them, we were given Sidectin in the chute and keeping stuff in small traps right nearby. There were dung beetles all through those traps. And so the maximum shedding of that Sidectin would have been right in the place where we saw significant dung beetles. So actually, that's a claim that I'll be honest, I was skeptical about for a long time. I'm not anymore because I would literally see dung beetles flying out of dung of animals that we'd treated 2 weeks prior.
Yeah.
How much custom grazing do you do? It's your drought plan or your excess grass plan, right?
I buy through April, and then the market just pretty much dies. There is a great value on my time when my cattle get to the ranch.
Yeah.
I need to be at the ranch. And so it's not worth my time to be chasing sale barns for a trailer load of calves, which I don't have a big trailer. I can put 20 to 22 on of any weight. It's just not worth my time to chase grass cattle after April. And so that's pretty much my cutoff date. So what that means is what I have purchased to that point, then I have already been calculating what I think my ground will carry for the year, for the season. And then my custom grazer can bring me 5,000 or 100. And they're very happy to have us. And we're very happy to have them.
Good.
I solicited my grazer. People didn't call me. I solicited for them.
Excellent. All right. Marlene, thank you for your time.
Bet.
This is awesome. We will do it again. So.
Okay. All right.
Awesome.
Sounds
Thanks.
really good.
Thank you for tuning into the Ranchonomics podcast. We hope this episode helped you win today. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and share it with a friend.